What's going on, guys? Real quick before we get to the video, I do have some merchandise for you guys. Finally, right? I know. Anyways, I've got some of these hats. These are the Richardson's hats. They're flat bills. They're completely black with a net back. They got the gray face on them with the cool TrickTins logo. This logo is a lot sweeter than the one that's on my hat. This is the original TrickTins logo. I like these. I got a bunch of these. If you're interested in purchasing a hat, these hats are $30. You can leave a comment on this video, but the best way to reach me is through my website, tricktinsjohnboast.com, or on Facebook or Instagram Messenger. I also have some sweatshirts. These are all black hoodies. They got the TrickTins logo on the face of them. I have these in size small up to double extra large. I'm going to be getting some more in different colors and stuff like that, but I got about 40 of these. If you guys are interested in getting one of these hoodies, they are $35. Please send me a message. I would love to have you guys rocking my gear. I'll even throw in some stickers with any hat or sweatshirt purchase. So enough about merchandise. I've got something special planned for you guys. Let's get back to work. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of TrickTins. We are starting a new build today. This build is crazy. It's nothing like you're used to seeing. Personally, I would never look twice at this boat, never. But the boat has a story, and the person that the boat is for is actually Ryan Yin. Now, if you don't know who he is, go check him out. His YouTube and his TikTok are insane. He's growing like crazy. He's young, and he's funny. And I actually like watching his videos, so I think it's cool that I'm gonna build a boat for him. Now, the boat that he has is not ideal for a TrickTin. It's small, it's 1436, it's a low, it's riveted. Thing is super thin, like paper thin. I'm not hyped about that at all. It's got some issues with it already, and the thing's basically brand new. So I'm gonna show you guys what's going on with the rig, then we'll give you a little insight on what I plan to do with it. But first, I wanna tell you how I came about building this boat, how he got this boat, and why I'm doing it. All right, so the first time that I saw Ryan Yin, I happened to come across him, and SB had linked up. They fished together at Lake Anna. Now, they did some YouTube collab thing where they swapped boats, and Ryan Yin got to fish out of my boat, King Neptune, and he was mind blown because the thing is insane, and I don't blame him. And I thought it was cool as crap. He ran some TikTok videos and a YouTube video on it, and I was like, man, this dude has a humongous TikTok following. I hit him up after I saw that. We chatted for a second. Nothing crazy, just, you know, what's up, how's it going? Small talk. Left it alone. Now, about 10 months later, it just happened to fall into my lap. I messaged him randomly about some video or something that I saw that he did. I thought was cool. We started talking, and I was like, you know what? I'm ready to tackle the YINtin. You want to do a build? Let's do a build. The boat, I had no idea the story behind it, but the way he acquired this boat, he actually submitted an application to try to be a part of a YouTube challenge that was put on by Catchco. I think it had some Guggen Squad affiliates and some other pro fishermen in it, like Brian Latimer. It wasn't just open to the public. You had to submit an application, a video of why they should choose you to do this challenge. He wasn't accepted. I know it's crazy, but at the time, he only had like 5,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. So he didn't think twice about it. It wasn't a big deal to him. He went about his business. A week into this 1 month challenge, they called him and said, hey, one of the guys dropped out. Do you want to do it? He was already behind the 8 ball, but he said, yes, I'm up for the challenge. He went in there and he killed it. It was some type of deal where they sent them a bunch of tackle and they had to use the tackle that they sent them. He had to post a video every week for 4 weeks. And at the end of the time, they picked the winner and he happened to win. That's how he got this boat. Now, for the simple fact that this boat has a story, I'm gonna build this thing out. I'm gonna make it sick. It's not gonna be over the top. It's not gonna be King Neptune. I'm sorry, Ryan, I cannot turn this boat into King Neptune. It's just not possible, but I'm going to give you a sweet build. Anyways, it's going to be a TrickTin. Don't worry, it's going to be nice. You're going to like it. Everybody's going to think it's cool. It's outside of my box though. It's different. It's not something that I'm used to building. These smaller boats like this usually are not stuff that I would really want to get into. I like to have at least a 48 wide. I don't like riveted boat, but this one's riveted. We're going to make do. I'm gonna show you guys the boat because the boat obviously needs some work, a lot more than just tricking. It needs to be fixed first. Let's turn this camera around and show you exactly what we got going on. All right, so this is the boat that we are dealing with. This thing is tiny. It looks like a canoe. I've never had this much room in my garage to walk around a boat, let alone work on it. He's got a brand new Mercury 9.9 motor on it. The boat itself is a 2021. This thing is paper thin though, super thin. I'm gonna show you up on the front in just a second. But he's got a nice motor and there's really nothing in this thing. He had a video where he built the front deck in here, and I'm glad that he took all that stuff out because it was just a bunch of plywood and carpet, and I didn't want to have to rip all that stuff out, so he did that for me. It's got a little shadow up here. It looks like he's had some type of like gym mat floor or something in here. Anyways, all this stuff is going. We're going to trick this thing out. Before I can get to doing all that, I've got some issues right here. Wood. Well, why is there wood right there? That wood has got to go. This transom is super weak, man. This thing is not even really strong enough to hold this motor on it. And we're probably gonna end up having to put a jack plate on here. So we're gonna have to reinforce this transom. I can't have that wood in here. I don't wanna see any wood in this boat. That's gone. So we're gonna get rid of that. We've got some other issues though up here in the front. Look at this front though. He's had some type of like clamp-on trolling motor. And you can tell it's thin because it can't even hold a small clamp-on trolling motor. And on top of that, I hate the way the front of these boats are. It's a flat bottom boat. I hate flat bottom boats. And this one just has a riveted handle on here. Now this is the type of boat that you would literally pick up with your grandpa and put in the back of his truck and go fish his private pond exactly how it sits. But this is not the boat that you want to build out, in my opinion. But we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be outside my box. It's a challenge, and I like a challenge. I'm always up for a challenge. The way this thing slopes up in the front though, it's like way up here. It's definitely different, and it's not a very big front. It comes to like nothing. I mean, look at it. It's only like 2 foot across his space right here, but I've got to repair this front. Look at the backside of his front winch. Not even a winch eye, it's literally a handle. But look, broken. The rivet's about to pull through. That one is the same way. I'm surprised he made it here with this thing without it ripping through, because you can see it's already pulling through pretty bad. So one of the first things I'm gonna have to do, which I normally wouldn't do, but I'm going to, it needs to be done. We're gonna build this thing out. It's gotta be strong. So this whole plate up here, I mean, this thing is nothing. It's probably like a 070 aluminum. So I'm literally just gonna plate over this whole thing. I'm gonna take this little handle out of here. I'm gonna put him a real winch eye on here. I'm gonna make one out of like 1/4 inch aluminum. And then I'm gonna sheet the whole face of this with at least 1/8 inch aluminum, maybe 3/16. Weld him a nice eye right up there so he has something to attach this winch to, and it's gonna make the front of this boat strong. Then I'm gonna have to come back on the inside, and I'm gonna do something with this, because this is just stupid. Doesn't really serve a purpose. I mean, you're not gonna sit up here. You're definitely not gonna stand up there. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with that. It is riveted to the side of the hull, so I'm probably gonna end up leaving this in here. I'm going to put some type of platform to come out off of it a little bit higher, because if you look at the slope of this, I mean, you follow that rib right there, it's well underneath here, and it's almost at the top of that one. There's no way I can build a deck from here back. It's gonna have like a slope on it, like a ski slope. He's gonna be sliding down here, especially if this thing gets wet, but we're not gonna do that. It's gonna be kind of like that boat over there, the G.I. Joe boat that I built. It's going to have a deck here that comes up, and then it's gonna have like a step up, and it's gonna have a little platform up here. This is basically just going to have this trolling motor on it, and maybe a graph, and then this is gonna be the big deck area where he's gonna stand. Now, I'm going to bring this deck back beyond this little baby seat or whatever this thing is. I don't know. We're gonna bring it back probably to here. That way he's only got like 2 open ribs here. That'll give him about 32 inches of space of floor, and then the rest of this will be deck. I don't know if we're gonna take this all the way out or what we're gonna do with it, because these ribs are teeny, tiny, tiny. Look how little these ribs are. Super small ribs. It poses an issue. Most of the boats I like to build are well built. So they have big square ribs in here, and I can just lay my floor right across those. Not gonna happen with this one. This is gonna have to have some type of subfloor in here, and it has to be lightweight, because look at this. 3 persons or 350 pounds. Well, I can tell you this much, if you put me in there, you only got 140 pounds left. We're probably gonna put that much metal in here, easily. And it's more like a 1-person boat. He wants to fish with his buddies, so I've got to keep this thing super lightweight. I mean, 3 people at 350 pounds, that's only like 115 pounds a person, so I don't know where they're gonna find those people at. I've got a lot of work to do on this, a lot of brainstorming to do. I mean, the original idea was just to fix this thing up and get a front deck in it, a back deck, some type of floor in here, because right now the thing is just bare bones, and this is not the way the YINtin needs to be. The YINtin has to be a trick YINtin. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm going to start by taking this motor off of here and getting this gas tank out of here. That way I can brainstorm on how I'm gonna figure out the entire boat build. This thing is going to be a challenge to me. It's basically like a big kayak, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do this shit. I'm not going to lie to you. Most of the times I look at a boat and I'm like, oh, yep, I'm going to do that here. Hatch, boom, boom, bam. No, not going to happen with this build. This thing's going to be completely custom, and it's going to be completely on the whim. And the cool thing about this build is he's got a lot of sponsors. I'm going to show you guys some of the stuff that he's got to put in this boat right now. All right, so this is all stuff that's going in this boat. He has a gigantic, brand new Garmin Force trolling motor. Now, this thing is worth more than his entire boat and trailer. These are some battery chargers for these brand new lithium batteries. Same type of deal. These two batteries together are worth more than the entire boat and trailer. He's probably got about $6,000 worth of stuff right here alone going in to this tin can right here. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where the heck are you going to mount that gigantic 50-inch shaft trolling motor on the front of this little baby boat? It's going to go up here on the front somewhere, obviously, but it's not going to mount into this, because I could literally just grab this and bend this entire piece out of here with my bare hands if I wanted to. We're not going to do that. We're going to try to save this. I'm going to try to figure out how to incorporate this, how to strengthen this. That's why it's a challenge, and that's why I'm building this boat. All right, so now this boat is stripped naked. We're definitely gonna have to get rid of this wood, reinforce this transom. I mean, look at this chinky little bracket they got on here. This thing is not meant to hold an outboard motor on it. A couple of rivets into the bottom of the hull. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be fixed up. Another thing I noticed on this hull, if you look back here, these bunk boards, they're sitting in. You know, probably ½ inch or so from the back of the transom. That's not good. These need to be extruded past the back of your boat. They need to stick out past this transom at least ½ inch, just something for it to sit on where it gains a lot of strength from this connection point right here. And if it's sitting up underneath of it, I'll show you what it does to the boat. It's already starting to happen in this one. I see this all the time with boats. Look, you can see right here, this is rolling up. It's really bad right here. It dips down right here. Look. See that? That is caused by the bunk board, which is sitting right here underneath of this rib. And what happens is the trailer bounces against that bunk, and there's nothing to stop this from just banging down, especially when you got an outboard motor on here. So it's gonna bend this up until eventually it'll either crack right here or it's gonna split this weld seam right here. So that's definitely one thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna adjust this trailer. I'm gonna pull this back up onto the front a little bit farther. That way those back bunk boards will reach well beyond this transom, about ½ inch. It's doing the same thing over here. It's not as bad, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. In case you guys thought I was kidding about how light this boat is, it's 145 pounds. Look at this. This is ridiculous. This thing is a toy. I could pick this whole boat up over my head. No questions asked. 145 pounds. It's insane. All right, so I did bring home some 1x3 by 1/16 aluminum rectangular tubing. This is what I use to frame out all of my boats. This stuff is super lightweight. This is a whole 24-foot stick right here. I mean, it weighs nothing. It's very important to use lightweight stuff in all of my builds, especially in this one. I have to make this frame as light as possible. This boat is not gonna be able to hold a lot of weight, period. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna basically get some measurements for this tubing. I'm gonna frame it up here, just set it up here and kind of brainstorm. I need to figure out these hatches. I'm gonna have probably 2 big hatches up here, another one here. I might take this bench out. I might just use that as storage. I don't know yet. I'm going to figure out all these hatches and try to figure out the layout of this entire front deck as soon as possible, because we're getting some cool turf for this. Now it's going to be CNC cut. I'm going to tell you more about that right now. All right, so if you guys don't already know, Fisher Yin is sponsored by Angler's Choice Marine. Now they are going to be installing some electronics in this boat. They did hook him up with that trolling motor, and he got the batteries from a different company. The batteries are from MillerTech. I'm not familiar with them. I haven't used them before, but they're a pretty big name battery company. He has a deal with Angler's Choice, and they hooked him up with that trolling motor. They're also gonna be hooking up with some graphs and a live scope. So they're gonna install that stuff in here, which is sick. I mean, he's gonna have a lot of stuff going into this tiny little boat. So I've got to incorporate spaces in this boat for the black box and for them to run wires, to hook up all these graphs and the live scope and all this stuff. So it's got to be perfect. It's got to be set up just right, or they're going to have a hard time doing it. I don't know how many of these tiny little boats they build at Angler's Choice, but this one's a little different, and it's going to be completely customized, not like any other boat in the entire world. So I got to keep that in mind while I'm building. But they are also sponsoring him on some CNC cut turf, which is sick because I've never used any of that turf, and I think it's going to be cool to see how it goes into the boat firsthand, especially since I'm going to be the one that's going to design the entire layout, take all the measurements, and I'm going to give them exactly what they need as far as templates for each hatch and the entire boat build. Now, obviously, Angler's Choice is sponsoring it, so it's going to have a lot of Angler's Choice logos into the hatches. So the entire build is going to incorporate a lot of their logos. It's also going to have my logo in it, which I'm hyped about. I cannot wait to get this turf installed in here, and that's kind of my driving force for this entire boat build. I want to use that turf. Never used it before, and this is my chance to do it. This may not be my hull of choice, but it's going to be sick, especially with that turf in there. Let's get back to work. All right, so I made a couple of pieces for this boat. The first piece I'm going to put up on this front. I'll show you that one in a second, but I also made this one because the front of this boat rolls up so dramatically that I need to bring this back so that I can keep this whole deck in here streamlined from the back of the transom all the way up to here. So I made this piece. It's made out of 0.125. It needs to be strong. I'm gonna have to cut it a little bit and shape it. I made it just a little bit long because I knew that I wasn't gonna have all my machinery at home. So this is gonna work perfectly. I'm gonna get this up here. It's gonna slope down and bring this whole front down gradually. That way I can get flush with the streamline of the deck. The second piece I have is this piece right here. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna drop over this front right here. Same thing with this. I gotta cut it down just a little bit. But this is going to cap off this old front where it's all beat up. This is pretty heavy too. This is 0.125 aluminum. I'm going to put a new winch eye on the front of this. I'm going to put you guys back on the time lapse because I got a lot of stuff to do. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got this thing welded across the top and up these vertical walls right here. Now, I thought about welding it from right here, just the way it sits, but it'd be a whole lot easier if I flip this whole entire boat over upside down and welded it that way. So I'm gonna get my 12-year-old son to help me flip this thing over real quick. I'm gonna get all this stuff out of here, flip it over. It's time to get back to work. All right, so as you just saw, it's finally begun. I struck an arc on the YINTin. We got some raw aluminum up on the bow. Finally, I welded this piece in here solid. That last video you saw was in hyperlapse. It was only like 10 seconds, but it took me about an hour. This piece is going to make a humongous difference in this entire boat build. I had to do this before I got started with the rest of the build because this is going to be a main staple for the boat. You cannot put this boat in the trailer and winch it up here tight unless it's going to be sturdy. So I was thinking about welding my own eye on the face of this, But if I do that, it's only gonna be as strong as the metal that I weld it to. Now, if I use a stainless steel eye, I can put bolts through it. I can run those bolts through this piece, through the original hull, and then I can put a big washer plate. I'm gonna use like a piece of 1/4 inch thick aluminum on the inside, and then my bolts can go all the way through these two thicknesses of metal and through this washer plate. It's going to make this thing super strong. I think that's the way I'm gonna go. I'm gonna see what I can find. I gotta order an eye winch for the front of this because I want this thing to last him for a long time. But now that this is done, I have one other piece I need to install on this front deck, mini deck, whatever you want to call it. This thing is going to be weird. It's a different type of build. But this deck is going to stay up here. I have this piece that I just made right here. I'm going to figure out how to install this. And basically, all this is going to do, it's going to drop this little mini deck down to where it can be streamlined with the rest of the entire boat. And all the way from the transom up to this piece. This piece is going to be sick. It's going to make it gradually slope up into the mini deck where he's going to have his trolling motor up here and he's going to have his graphs over here. So it's an important part of the boat. And I need this to get installed tonight. I'm going to trim this up. I'm going to make it fit in here perfectly. That will allow me to start framing back off of this and I can really get into the main fabrication of the YINtin. Let's do this thing, man. Let's get back to work. All right, so now you can see how this piece works. It's very simple. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna shoot some rivets through here, and then I will be able to start framing because this slopes down and this angle, you see I got that angle sitting up there across there? That's exactly how it's gonna be. I'm gonna have framing from here all the way back to the back of the transom. That's going to allow me to have a streamline and a flat building surface to start building on. Now that that piece is figured out, I'm gonna start framing this whole thing in. This video is pushing the 20-minute mark. I am on a tight time schedule. He wants to get this thing done in 4 weeks. I know it's a small boat and I know I can do it, but it means that I gotta put a lot of work in, a lot of time burning the candle at both ends to make it happen. I'm gonna try to drop these videos as fast as I can. I wanna ask you guys a question. If there's anything you wanna see go into the YINtin, now is the time. Leave a comment in this video. Let me know what you wanna see, whether it's a colorway or the LED light. I am curious to see what you guys come up with. Don't make it too intricate because I don't have a lot of time with this thing. I'll try to incorporate it if I think it's cool. I know I did a lot of talking in this episode, but this is part 1. Next episode is not gonna be like that. I'm gonna have a lot of work done in the next episode. I just had to explain some things to you guys. I just want you to know where I'm coming from with the entire project. Now that that piece is figured out, it's time for me to start framing. I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like, subscribe button, leave a comment. I'd like to hear what you guys think about this one. I'll see you guys next time. I gotta get back to work.